Hi there. My name's Gabriel, and America has a propaganda problem. Let's talk about it. Why I make some pasta. Look at that shit. Doesn't it look good? Some pasta, and I've already made some sauce with some tofu mixed in there. That's why it looks so, I guess, light. So, what kind of propaganda problem does the US have? Well, it has two fronts to the propaganda problem. The propaganda of the American dream, which quite frankly doesn't exist. And number two is the propaganda of a foreign adversary, China. And there's two reasons this propaganda is falling apart. Let's start with the American dream. So, the American dream has been dead for quite some time, probably since the early 2000s, maybe 2008, maybe earlier than that. But it was still somewhat attainable. Housing wasn't skyrocketing like it is now, and while wages weren't great and the '08 financial crisis had happened, there was still some opportunity to move up. But the American dream that our parents lived and that their parents lived, it's gone. There is no such thing. So when you have a dream that you sell to generation and generation and generation, and you can't deliver on it, well, that dream becomes a lie. It becomes just a piece of a story to keep people complacent. Ooh, look at that steam. Nice facial right now. Love it. And the American dream used to be true. It wasn't a complete lie. There was a strong middle class, or a strong working class, to be more accurate. And that class no longer exists. Most people my age are trying to pursue professional careers, are working two jobs, or are barely making it by, or going into major debt. So, quite frankly, people feel lied to. And they have been, because the policies that our parents grew up on, the policies put in by presidents like FDR that actually helped people, they're gone. Reagan gutted all of them. Now, coming back into the pasta, look at that sauce. I have not taste tested it yet, and I need to mix it in, but it looks yummy. I'm excited. It's a lot of protein in there because there's a whole block of tofu in that thing, which, very liberal of me to be eating plant-based protein. I do eat meat occasionally because I like chicken, but that's off the point. Thing is, the dream is dead. It's just a dream, and while I do think there is still a little inkling of that dream being achievable, right? You can, if you work really, really hard, you can get there. The thing is you have to work really, 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 really hard to achieve the same amount of success our parents had. Like our generation, we get paid a decent amount, right? I'm making $30 an hour at my current job, but I still can't own a home on that kind of money. And mind you, I only spend my money on Costco, food, like I'm not buying anything crazy at Costco, and then the occasional book or two. I love books. So I'm not a big spender, and I can't say that I am thriving. If I wanted to clear out some debt and have some extra fun money, I could pick up a second job that's more consistent, but that's not something I want to do at the moment, so I'm fine with that. The fact is in order to have a semblance of the life my parents had, I would need to be working two jobs all the time. And that is kind of crazy. And maybe, some people might look at it, oh, I work 80 hours a week and all of that. Yeah, but I don't think that should be the case. There's people I know who work, in the 70s, who worked in the 70s as managers or mid-managers, kind of like the job I'm doing now. And they were able to buy a home on one salary on a mid-management job at a retail store. I'm in a mid-management job, and I cannot buy a home. That does not feel great, especially when the whole American dream is to buy a home, to be able to go to college if you want to be able to have that car that you like. And then an entire generation or two can't even achieve that. Just taste tested the pasta. Pretty solid. Definitely needs some seasoning, because we put garlic, we put onion in there. The tofu softened out a little bit of the sauciness, so definitely needs some spice. So we're going to do some paprika. We're going to do some smoked garlic. And maybe some oregano. But back to my point. The propaganda of the American dream is gone. Or at least my generation and some millennials. So that has failed, which is not great for America as a country. When the generations that live in your country, Gen Z and millennials, feel like they can't succeed, well, that's not going to make a populace feel particularly, restful or happy. In fact, it's going to produce the opposite. It's going to produce unrest and unhappiness. And then part 2 of the failed propaganda, which is coming to light right now because of people jumping ship from TikTok to Redbook or Xiaohongshu, we are seeing that the people in China, the country we have vilified for decades, are actually living pretty damn good lives. And I've always been pretty open-minded about other countries, and I've seen the advancements China's been making over the last few years. They're doing crazy stuff. But there was still propaganda that I was fed about social credit systems and other things that I fully believed, only to learn that many of these things are exaggerations or don't exist. And then you see their food prices, and their rent, and their public transport, and their cities. And you're like, oh, maybe, just maybe, China is doing okay. And yes, they're not perfect. I'm not saying, oh my goodness, China, is super good on human rights and stuff. No, they have some big censorship issues. They have things going on that are not right, just like any government across all countries. But we have been lied to about just how bad things are. Because these citizens on Redbook are sharing their lives with American citizens. The intercultural exchange is beautiful. And we're seeing that we are just way more alike than we aren't, which is awesome. We need more of that. That leads us to world peace, which I don't think our governments want, which is weird, but it's not, because guess what? War makes money, and peace does not. I'm sure we could make peace profitable, but I just don't think the people in charge right now are that creative, which kind of sucks. Because, peace would be great. Let's take another look at this pasta. I'm going to put some seasoning on it, so we're going to edit that. Mind you, I'm a little heavy-handed with seasoning. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's seasoning levels are different, but we got a good amount of seasoning in there. It almost looks like mac and cheese, and it sounds really good, too. I'm going to stick this somewhere different, or change the height, because I want to change the angle. The thing is, let me stir this up. It's going to sound suspicious. But basically, we're seeing that America has been lying about China. We're seeing that, hey, the only reason we seem to be banning their products in America is not because they're bad, it's because they're way more advanced and they would undercut the prices of US products. BYD is a great example of this. They make amazing electric cars, from what it seems, and they are not allowed to sell in the United States. These cars, mind you, are selling for $10,000, $15,000, and they're full-blown cars. Infotainment systems, touchscreens, electric, and they look damn good. And they can't sell them in the US because it would undercut companies like Ford. Ford sells you an electric car, right? A Mustang Mach-E. It's probably around $40,000. I recently bought a Toyota, which is a Japanese car, and it was $26,000. American cars just are expensive, and they're bad. Jeeps are horrible. Fords are pretty bad, unless it's like a truck. So, yeah, if Chinese cars entered our market, it would devastate American car manufacturers. Which, isn't that what capitalism is all about? Isn't it about, I don't know, free markets, and whoever has the best product wins? Except when it's not, because this isn't a free market here in the US. In fact, we don't let a lot of Chinese products into the United States because guess what? They would undercut us on price, and they might overdo us on quality. Who knows? or maybe their quality sucks. We don't know because we don't even get a choice to know, because the American government sanctions them or puts extremely high tariffs on them. So we're seeing that, hey, the people in China, they're living good, their cars are hella cool, they've got some crazy cool looking phones that we also can't buy because probably they would compete with Apple and Samsung too much. Mind you, it's so funny because Apple phones are made in China, but they're designed here in California. What's interesting is, and I love Apple, but I also at the same time don't, because they do not innovate. They've never had any competition. Neither has Samsung, really. And I don't even think Samsung's an American company, but they're just, Samsung sells very popular phones here in the US. By not letting other people to compete in the market, we're, getting rid of that innovation we say capitalism makes happen. So we've been lied to by our own government, which, wow, shocker. Again, America does not just do this. Every government is pretty shitty when it comes to, lying. They all do it. But yeah, the American propaganda machine is falling apart. People in China are buying corn on the cob, or corn, for like 97 cents to $1, while when you go to buy corn here in the US, it's much closer to like $4 to $5. That's insane. Their cost of living is cheaper. Yeah, their wages are cheaper, but they're not near as bad, at least in the cities, as we have thought, right? Because there's this narrative that, oh my goodness, they're paying people 10 cents an hour. That's not happening anymore, at least not in Shenzhen. Again, I can't speak to the rural areas of China, and I would need to go to China myself to experience it. But based on the info I have, they're living okay lives. Now, their government does censor a lot of their content, and it does not let them really have other internet apps like Google or, YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, which is why on, Redbook, everyone is actually having intercultural exchange for the first time in a long time, because it's the first time it's kind of happened in a really long time. But now it is breaking the propaganda that our government has pushed on us. To be honest, it also might be breaking propaganda that China has pushed about us as well, which, who knows? America could ban Redbook, or China could ban Americans from it. I'm sure something like that is going to happen, because it seems to me where America is heading, because its propaganda machine is breaking. It is breaking. It is broken. America wants to isolate its citizens. It wants to isolate us from the rest of the world, and it's doing so in the name of safety and protection. Your data is going to get stolen by China. Mark Zuckerberg stole my data a while back and sold it to Cambridge Analytica with that whole scandal. But in China, the government has their data and can spy on them. Yeah, but so can mine. The NSA and the United States government can just talk to any of the 3 big companies that own all my data, i.e. Facebook, Google, and Apple, and they're probably going to comply with the US government. Yes, we have 1 or 2 more middlemen here, but those middlemen will be willing and happy to sell my data to the government. So yeah, we as Gen Z aren't really worried about another country having my data, because my data has never been private, and it probably never will be. That's the precedent we set back in the 2000s when the Patriot Act was passed by Bush. So yeah, using the whole pretense, your data's at risk, to a foreign country, a foreign adversary. My data's been at risk since the day I was born, man. So kind of a tough sell there. And so yeah, this is basically the end of my video. We have a breaking propaganda machine, and Americans are seeing it. We're seeing the light of day, and we're like, oh shit. We're not the best country in the world. In fact, the only reason we're on top economically is because we bully everyone else into using our dollar, and we have the military might to back up whatever we want to do. So America has never had to innovate. It's never had to invest in itself, because it has used the labor and the products of other countries to do so, which has shot us in the foot because it never invested in its own people. And that is why America, probably in the next few years, next decade, will be a far different country, because I do not see a future in which we can survive at this current rate of decay. Those are my thoughts. I love you all. Tell me what you like about this video. Tell me your thoughts on the content I am producing. I'm going to try to be doing it more. I want to grow this. I want to change things. I want to get out and do things, volunteer, and change my community. And when I have money, I want to do really big things to help people and maybe change the world. So I would love your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe. The only way we can make a better world is by talking with each other, breaking down barriers, reading books, and yeah, peace and love would be great for everybody. I would love that. So peace, y'all. Love you, and I will see you later.